Okay, so we're ready to get into our CFX launcher or our top network. So all of our stages are set up, all the visibility is on, or the display flag is on for everything. We have a render camera, like this spot. So we're going to be using ROP fetches. So you can just tab fetch, ROP fetch. There it is. So you have these different options, how you want it to generate and the cache mode. So starting with our muscle sim, we got one muscle sim. Since it's the first stage, we just have this as automatic, but the cache mode is right. Our frames and batching is going to be our frame range. And what I found, if you don't have a lot of RAM, it's better to keep this on, this cook frames as one work item, and you'll just get one dot. Otherwise, if you turn that off, you'll see all your different processes. But for a computer with low RAM, this seems to work pretty quick. So just cook frames as a single work item. And then the ROP path, this is going to be our path to our muscle setup. So our muscle setup, muscle sim, render. That's our muscles. This download file, this is the image that appeared to say, just to show a rocket launched so that you know that your file has started. I'm not sure if this slows down a lot because it does grab this off the internet. But this is set up to write files, and this is generated when all upstream items are generated. So once this is generated, this will kick off. And then so in this file, I just have the file name I set as all jobs started, and then @ and then this is that Python expression. So it's the date time now, start time, and have some percentages in there. It's a bit long. I could include it maybe in the description if you want to use something like this. And then we get our muscle flipbook. So this is an OpenGL render. Delete this one. OpenGL, ROP, OpenGL. So this is like what a blank one is. OpenGL. Frame range. So just looking at the ROP fetch, I have this as all upstream items are cooked. So once these are completely cooked, then this one will start. And the cache mode is write files. Using the frame range. And for all of these right now, I'm just keeping as cook frames as single work item. I connected our camera, which we're using right now as our render camera. And then scene path is object level. And then since we kept all of our display flags on, so everything is on, it would just render everything. So we want to exclude all of the things we're not using. So we're not using our finaling, we're not using our cloth setup, skin. You just add those all here. So you just select them, accept pattern. So then, and then if you want to check it, you can just work item output. Oh, so in this case it's black, but we probably need a rerun. And then we're starting our FET. So this is another ROP fetch node. This is pin. And we're going to wait for all upstream items are cooked. Then we're going to write. frame range. We're going to cook frames as a single work item. This is our ROP path, fat setup, fat sim, cache, render. Fat flipbook, which is the same thing this time. So everything's on. We're going to include the muscles, and then we're going to make sure that fat isn't in here. So you can see the muscle setup is here, but fat is missing. Let's see how this one is. Oh, there we go. There's our fat. So all of these are daisy chained or stacked. So it's nice, everything just runs one after another. And with this kind of setup, we want it to go in that order because each sim is using the others as an input or a driver. So there's our fat, and then we got another ROP fetch. This is for our skin sim. Specified our ROP path, which is our skin wrinkle setup. And we're also, again, waiting for all upstream items are cooked. And then we're writing cook frames as single work item. And then, again, we have a ROP OpenGL render. We call this our skin flipbook. And on the exclude items, we just removed our skin. If you right click on that green dot, you could go view work item output. There's our skin. You can see more folds compared to our fat simulation. And you could also click on here, work item info. Just want to see everything. And then our ROP fetch for our cloth sim, frame range, cook frames as single work item. So everything is the same. Our upstream items are cooked, write files. And then we attach this ROP path to the cloth setup. And we're cooking this as frame by frame. Our cloth flipbook. There it is. And we have this wait for all, just to wait for everything. Then we're going to export an Alembic. So once everything's finished, we're going to do our export Alembic using our frame range. This is also using the ROP fetch node. And then we're just setting that path as our finally an Alembic export, and then our out CFX Alembic, which is just at the end of our finaling. And then we're creating this contact sheet. So this contact sheet is in our COP network, which we'll go into next, but just this is what it looks like. Our path, CFX dailies, which is actually the COP network. Again, we're waiting for all upstream items are cooked, and we're writing files, frame range, so we can see what this looks like. There we go. So we're missing the muscle because I have to rerun that. So this is the fat, this is the skin, this is the cloth, and then we have the names also in the up left corner. So those names, if we go back to our OpenGL, scroll down, display options, you double check where we specified that. So this is the fat, this is the skin, this is the cloth, and then we have the names also in the up left corner. So those names, if we go back to our OpenGL, scroll down, display options, display options, double check where we specified that. So this is the fat, this is the skin, this is the cloth, and then we have the names also in the up left corner. So those names, if we go back to our OpenGL, scroll down, display options, double check where we specified that. Okay, so on our ROP OpenGL scene, if you scroll all the way past, on the very bottom, there's a viewport comment. So you could put whatever comment you want. So I just put like cloth sim v1, fat sim v1, and then that'll be added to that. And then we have this. So right now this is just creating EXRs, but we want to convert that to an MP4. So we could just click on it and play. So this is a FFmpeg encode video, and we're waiting to generate when all upstream items are cooked, write files, create video from images, and then the upstream output images is going to be file image, and then the output file path. So I'm putting this in our hip directory and our render. We're going to call the folder CFX daily submission, and then CFX capybara, and then we're adding our PDG index, and then it's going to be .mp4, and the file tag is a video. I kept these as default. I'm using 24 frames per second, which look good with this animation. And then this is just the last download file. And that's just letting you know that all jobs are completed, but then I put that Python script in there to just so you have the date and time, just in case it wasn't correctly associated with the actual file. So I just wanted to hard code that in there with Python. And then so you could see this. It's going to say the mission complete. So you know that all of your passes have been finished. So you see. It's taking a while to come up. I'm not sure what happened there, but so that's our CFX launcher. And so if you go to your top network, if you want to run all of those, there's a few different ways. So you could just go on here, click on this very bottom one, put the flag on the output, and then you just right click, dirty and cook this node. But you'd have to make sure you go through all of these and manually click dirty this node. So you'd dirty everything, and then you'd right click here, dirty and cook this node. Or to instead of clicking on each thing individually, you could just right click and do dirty all, which saves time. And then you could do the cook output node. And you could also export the graph if you wanted to see what that looks like as a JSON file. And then later when you create your HDA, you could just link this button here, this create output node and dirty all. So on the top level of our HDA, we have reinitialize, because that makes more sense to me. I haven't heard dirty all. I'm more used to reinitialize. So you could just click that to reset everything, and then click launch to launch everything. But it's the same thing as the cook button. So that's our top network. And next we're going to look at this CFX dailies in our COP network.